you know that only 9% of people follow through on their New Year's resolution? That's less than 1 in 10 people actually get through to the end of the year. Every January, do you find pressure to become suddenly someone different? To set a New Year's resolution where you want to develop a new habit or have a big goal or get some fresh motivation? Yeah, most people approach January in a way that guarantees they'll burn out. Everyone starts with great intentions, but slowly just falls away. I don't make New Year's resolutions, and it's not because I don't believe in goals. In fact, I'm very goal driven, but I've developed a whole series of secrets that get me to the end of the year and allow me to achieve so much more. The first one, before January even starts, I love that period of time between Christmas and the New Year. And most people are on vacation, but I like it because it's a time that gives me a chance to really reflect on the previous year and reflect on my own life in particular. Do I need to change some behaviors in me? Do I need to change some things about me? And to really do a lot of introspection, because if I don't change them, I'm not going to meet my goals that I have for 2026. So when I get to 2026, it's like an exciting time rather than, oh my gosh, so much pressure, I've got to make sure I do that New Year's resolution. No, it's, I recognize some things about myself. I know that I'm addressing a behavior to get the outcome I desire. And 2026, in this case, becomes an exciting time. We had a whole team meeting yesterday. We looked at some great things of how all our systems and everything come together, and it really set the stage for the rest of the year. So people could understand why they're working on what they're working on. Not just, I've got to do this task, go do this other task, go do this other task. It set that whole framework for the year. And we began to look at our behaviors, how we need to change our behaviors to get the outcomes we desire in our company. See, what this means is that January is repositioned as a time of momentum to move forward versus a time of pressure. I think in this modern sort of hectic life, the last thing we need is more pressure on ourselves. What we need is momentum in a positive direction. And that comes from reflection, comes from, yes, goal setting, but it comes from looking at our behaviors. Number 2, there's never a perfect time to start. If you're waiting for that perfect time to do what you want to achieve in your life, it'll never happen. So just realize that at the beginning. It's going to be messy, it's going to be dirty, it's going to be horrible. And you'll think, I don't have enough time, I can't do this, I can't do that. There's never a perfect time. I hadn't done anything on social media for quite some time. And the thing that I knew was absolutely the key to it was 2 things. One is be consistent. And number 2 was actually start. We started and we just began rolling it out one step at a time. And you know what? No one was looking at the posts. And now you're looking at the posts. If you've got to this point, thank you very much for that. By the way, subscribe down the bottom there. So don't disparage the small beginnings. Yeah, it's only small, but we can see a trend and it's continually going up, continually going up, continually going up. And we're just continuing to work away at that and try to improve. And it's about being consistent and it's about starting now. Don't wait till January the 1st. I read a good book recently where it said, don't ever add something unless you take something away first. So if you're planning on starting something that you can bring change to your life, and maybe it's a business or even something as big as that, then what are you taking away that will allow you the time to start? But there's another adage too, and the adage is if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And so are you really using all of your day? Are you really that committed to what you want to do that you're going to be able to bring change to your life? So there's never a perfect time for you to start. Recognize it, face it, and start anyway. Number 3, the question needs to be asked is, why do New Year's resolutions fail? Why is it that only 9% of New Year's resolutions make the distance through the year? The first reason is they're normally too vague. They're either too ambitious, like they're impossible goals, or too disconnected from daily reality, like the cut and thrust of you just getting through your day and things like that. The other thing is that resolutions quite often focus on outcomes rather than changing your behavior. The question you need to look at is why do they fail for you, and whether it's your behavior that needs to be addressed versus the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. For instance, you may be wanting to go on a diet to lose weight. That's the outcome, but the behavior could be, I just need to eat less. Or I need to get more disciplined about exercise. Or whatever it is in your life that's holding you back. And that's looking at the behavior, not just the outcome. Be focused on your behaviors. The first thing I'll always look at is, what do I need to change in my behavior, which will allow me to get the outcome I desire? And that's what I always look at. And 9 times out of 10, let me tell you, it's going to boil down to a horrible word, and I know you're not going to like this. It's called discipline. Number 4, January doesn't magically reset old habits. If you're sitting there and you're sort of thinking, oh, January the 1st, I'm going to suddenly change everything. I'm going to ask a simple question. What's the difference between December the 31st and January the 1st? I don't like things to do lists. The thing I find is that if I'm not going to allocate time to it, then I'm not going to do it. So rather than having a things to do list, I have my schedule, and I put everything into my schedule. And I try to do that as much as possible. Because if I'm allocating time to it, then it's important for me. Otherwise, it's not important. So the question I have for you is this. Is that New Year's resolution important? If it is, add it to your schedule. There's one thing for sure. If nothing changes structurally in your life, and if you don't schedule things, then you won't be able to build some good habits. So you have to go ahead and schedule them and make sure you absolutely be diligent at that. You've got to be consistent over and over and over again. Number 5 is consistency. Consistency beats motivation every single time. It allows you to just go one step at a time, and it becomes a habit after a while. In fact, if you get past 6 weeks, you're far more likely to actually develop a habit. I remember when I first started walking, I hated walking. I'd much rather sit in front of the computer or the TV or something like that. But I knew that if I could discipline myself and be consistent for just 6 weeks, it would become a habit. Now every day I start off on a treadmill, or I go out for a walk outside or something like that. So consistency is one of the keys to actually allowing you to move forward in your goals. I know for a fact that most progress comes from doing just those small incremental improvements in your life. It's not the big changes, it's the small incremental improvements. I remember reading a story about the UK cycling team, and they got a new coach in, and they're absolutely hopeless. And he said, all I want to do is get an idea from any of the team members. It was a 1% improvement. And he knew that by getting that 1% improvement, by the end of the year, that a huge improvement overall. With a result, the UK cycling team became the team to beat at the Olympics. It's doing those small improvements and being consistent about them, which makes all the difference. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just not motivated to do stuff. Now, if you're going to rely to meet your goals on being motivated all the time, let me tell you, you're going to miss out. You really are. You're not going to get there. You've got to just discipline yourself to be consistent. Doesn't sound glamorous, but it's the truth. You don't need a New Year's resolution to set a goal. Just decide to set a goal. Decide to start now. Don't wait for some date. Look at your behaviors and then look at the outcomes you're wanting to get. But it always comes down to what behaviors do you have to change. You need clarity, consistency, and a plan to achieve your goals. Hey, I'm curious, how do you approach this whole thing around New Year's resolutions? What's the different things that we do to get a great outcome in our lives?